So for me, I am not that familiar with ashrams. What would daily life be like for me to go to visit or participate in?
Delhi, if you ask, then it is hell.
Okay.
But the ashram is beautiful. We have a huge campus like this, and no vehicles are permitted inside, and it's very peaceful, beautiful. We have peacocks dancing all the time. We have so many peacocks. Just now is the season of the peacock babies. So we don't mow the big grass that grows so that the babies can hide. Otherwise, these eagles come and take them away. So when I left, there were already 9 babies and 4 on the way. I love to keep an eye on them, but I'm too far now. So we have a very beautiful place, and we have lots of activities going on in the Delhi ashram. We run several schools on the campus, and then we have other places also. So maybe in short I will tell you what all we are doing. We run a school called the Mothers International School, which is considered the best school of Delhi and one of the best schools in the country. And but as it is India, 2,500 children in a school. It's a very big school. Results are excellent. We try to give all-round education based on Mothers and Sri Aurobindo's teachings. And they have everything, sports and arts and dance and music and yoga. We've been having yoga since years, compulsory in all classes, which the government has now introduced. In all schools it has become compulsory now. We've been doing it for many years already. Meditation also we teach. There is a very strong value system in our school. So the children come from outside, they study and then they go home. They don't stay there. Then we have another school called Mirambika Free Progress School. Again based on Mothers and Sri Aurobindo's teachings, where we have no paid staff, and all our devotees who are working for the mother, and the ideal school as it should be. So the student-teacher ratio is 3:1, and we have a lot of volunteers coming in, and as of now, just now we are having some problems with that school, but I don't want to go into the details coming. And then we have we also run a vocational training institute, Sri Aurobindo Institute of Vocational Training, for the economically weaker youth between the ages of 18 and 25, who for whatever reason could not pursue their studies, and the families don't have the money to send either to the school or further to college. We give them vocational training. These are 6 months courses, totally free, including board and lodging. Everything is provided for, and they pay nothing at all. On the contrary, they are given 1,500 rupees as stipend every month. And we bear their expenses for studies, for learning whatever they are learning. Then they have English classes, spoken English, no reading and writing. And they all, at the end of 6 months, they speak fluently wrong English. And then they go home and write letters to me. My dear Tara Didi, I am in the well. I hope you are also in the well. So that kind of thing they manage. So my fan is not well. Please get it made all right. Please, all kinds of things they will. But they get a lot of self-confidence because then they are able to speak English. We don't give them reading and writing. We teach them the basics of computers, no matter how much they've studied. They have an hour and a half of sports every day. We have all the facilities, and they have half an hour of meditation every day. And they also learn all kinds of work for an hour a day. They have to do either cleaning work or gardening, or even we teach them how to clean the toilets and everything. In India, it's nobody will touch the toilets because it's the work of the lower class people. But in our organization, we make them do everything. So this is one. After 6 months, if they want to stay on, they can apply to stay on. Then we make, if they want to upgrade themselves, if they have studied up to class 10, they can appear from the open school for class 12. They can go into graduation, everything at the ashram's expenses. And for this particular project, we have no funding from anywhere. The ashram bears the entire cost of. So at any given time, we have about 50 vocational trainees and 30 or 40 students who stayed on. So between 80 and 100 of them are with us all the time. And then we have a dance and music school where we teach all the Indian classical dance forms and music. We have Bharatnatyam, Kathak, Odissi, Kuchipudi, 4 dance forms are taught, and we have vocal music, North Indian and South Indian, tabla, sitar, violin, flute, guitar, all the instruments are there. And there are about 500 students. It is more kind of a hobby school where children come after school hours. And there are many adults also who come and learn, and then we have guests who come and stay as volunteers in the ashram, but they want to learn some Indian music or something. They also are accommodated there, they learn. We have yoga classes every day. In fact, we have 4 classes a day where people from outside come to learn yoga. And we have a health center which has allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, naturopathy, all these forms are there. And the Ayurveda section is building up very well just now. And it's growing. And we have acupressure also. So people who want to work there or some kind of healing, they can also do that when volunteers come. And otherwise we have our own people learning. The vocational trainees have paramedical as a subject. So there are a few vocational trainees who are learning to become nurses or paramedics. And then we have the bookshop and all, pretty big, selling all the ashram products like agarbattis and incense sticks and all these things, candles from the ashram and books and all. And we also have a section which is kind of where people can throw whatever they want to, and it's not small, it's very big, where people come and just dump their old things, and then we recycle everything. We send truckloads to the villages. Many schools give their old furniture to us, which they are changing, and we take all that furniture and we supply to the village schools outside Delhi. Delhi is very affluent, actually. There is nothing much in Delhi, but it gives an opportunity to people from the villages to come and live in Delhi and learn. We have group meditation every evening at 7 o'clock. Everybody collects, and we have every Sunday we have talks and discussions and all that, and then we have regular camps. People who want to come and join, groups that come usually and want to know about Mother and Sri Aurobindo, that also we are having on a very regular basis. We have 3 centers outside Delhi. One is in Kechla, which is in Odisha, one of the most backward areas, very, very backward, where we went and started working 15 years ago. Today it is thriving very well. There were no trees, they had cut away all the trees and used as firewood, and the people were so backward, they had not enough clothes, they were drunk all the time, and even today they eat rats. That is the level. They are tribals. And we started a project there. First we made a building for ourselves to stay. A young boy is actually doing Pranjal. He is the one who got interested and is totally into it, and then we started the school for the tribal children, but then they found that the children come to the school, they go back home and they unlearn all that we teach, they learn again what the families are teaching them. So we decided to start a hostel. So we, over the years, built hostels for them, girls' hostel, boys' hostel. There's no electricity even today. And we have got from Auroville, people came, we paid for it, but they put up electrical solar heating, solar lighting. So everything is solar lighted, and you'll have to pull a chair for yourself from somewhere.
No, I think I'm okay. I can sit in the floor. It's okay.
The electricity has now come, but only the line has come. Not yet, the village is not yet electrified. And we have decided not to take the government electricity. We have decided to continue with the solar heating, solar lighting. So these children are given everything free, and the entire project is from us, it is a social work that we are doing. We are funding the entire project. The ashram is giving a lot of funds for the construction, and then we try and find people who will sponsor the education of a child at a very nominal cost. So we get people to take one child's sponsorship or 3 children's sponsorship and pay every year, and we send reports to the sponsors on a very regular basis. So that is one of our projects where you will be surprised. It's a very well equipped school. It's not, there is no, as far as we are concerned, we are not living like in that poverty. We have built guest rooms, we have rooms for the volunteers, and the facilities are excellent. We have sports grounds, and we have play fields, and we have literally everything there. And you will be surprised, it is a very good place for people to go and volunteer, because the children all speak fluent English. We don't talk to them in any other language, so we talk to them in Hindi and English, and so they all speak Hindi and English. And the first batch, we started this school 15 years ago, the first batch is now going for the board examination of class 10. For the first time, they are giving a government exam. There are no holidays in this school. 365 days they are working. All the teachers are volunteers trained in Delhi Ashram, most of them, and who are working there. And the teachers take their days off whenever they want, but the school is running all days. There are no holidays. And food is, and the children also work a lot. They work at the construction site, they work in the kitchen. They have a beautiful library, very well equipped library, and the area is so beautiful. They have a huge dam, and the river is running there, and it's extremely picturesque also. The children there, they learn to swim in the river only, but they get an all-round education in spite of being so cut off. To reach there, you have to go to Visakhapatnam by air, then 5 hours by taxi, and from one state to another state, and then you come to the waterfront, and then 45 minutes by motor launch. Then you reach that place. The children had never seen anything outside. Now, of course, they have seen. We take them out also. So this is one of our major projects where we are doing social work. And there is no income from that place. Everything is coming from outside, from the ashram, and supported entirely by the ashram. Then we have two more places. One is Nainital, where we have almost 200 beds, and it's kind of our campsite. We hold camps there continuously. You would be surprised, right from the 1st of April till the end of June, we get completely booked out with Sri Aurobindo study camps. We have groups from different parts of the country who come in groups with a resource person, and it's so beautiful there. They spend 7 days with yoga in the morning, meditation in the evening, some chanting, some singing, and they have these sessions on some teachings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, and a group consists of 60 participants. We have that many rooms with double rooms with bath and toilet attached for the study camps. And then we have 100 beds in the dormitory where we hold youth camps.
That is very nice.
No, he didn't go to the youth camp. He went for a trek.
You went
But
for
there were a
the...
lot of on the mountaineering trip. There were a lot of climbers
They were
there from Nainital.
Harish and
Yes.
Ratan and all, they
Yes,
were
they
there.
talked
He
so
went
much
to-
on not to get killed, you know.
He came to one of our camps. We hold all kinds of camps. We have adventure programs for children. We have national integration camps. For years we had, now we are not having, in which people from all states used to come, youngsters. And then we now still are open to camps for value education. So all kinds of camps to attract the youth. All the programs have morning yoga, evening meditation, and at least one lecture on self-development. And the rest of the time they do rock climbing and trekking. We have excellent facilities for all that there. So that is a kind of campsite there, and almost, except during the rainy season, July and August, and very cold when it is November, December. Nainital is a very beautiful, one of the best tourist cities of the Himalayas. But we are not in the town. We are in the town, but we are not in the hub there. We are up on the top of a mountain all by ourselves. So it's very peaceful and very beautiful. So that is the third place we have, and the fourth is 40 kilometers from Nainital, also in the Himalayas. It's like a beautiful resort, and we have a lot of activities. We have camps also there, spiritual retreats. We encourage people to bring groups for spiritual retreats there. It is only recently being developed. It is not yet. It's a growing place. And Anju is in charge, so I'll let her tell you the rest. We're doing a lot of work in the village there.
So when you ask the question, what is it that the day is like? I think the plate is full. Because we're working in different areas. And the experiment in education, which was done at the Delhi ashram, because the Delhi school was really started with Mother's Blessings.
Come and sit.
So Mothers International was actually created with Mother's Blessings. So that experiment in education in the Delhi center, which Tara Didi has spoken about, went into Mirambika, the Free Progressive School, and the Kechla school also, which she has spoken about. And one thing I think about the Kechla school, just to add on, because Bhuvana is also here, is that in Kechla we also look for volunteers, because there is an in-house team which does a lot of work, but there is always the young aspirants who come and do work. So young students every year for their socially productive work, they come. We have musicians, we have dentists, we have a lot of other people also. So
She
inspired.
is one who comes every year with her 2 children, and her children teach them. You tell them about what you do at Kechla every year. She's going in the next week, she'll be there.
You just came at the right time. Just talk about.
We've been doing this for about 7 years now. I have 2 boys, 15 and 11. And we go to the school in Orissa that is run by the Delhi Ashram. We collect school supplies from Minneapolis. I live in Minneapolis. This was started by my 15-year-old about 7 years ago. We collect school supplies that are generally discarded at the end of the year by these community schools out there. And toys, any toys, although my children are very specific and say those toys should not run on batteries because where would they go to buy batteries out there in this remote area, or puzzles and games and things like that. So we take about 250 pounds every year of luggage. We take them to Kechla, and then the 3 of us all teach there. My little one, who's now 11, so 7 years ago he was 3 or 4, when we first went, took this huge atlas, the kind of books, board books that children use, little kids use, and he would sit with the school students around the book, and he would also be lying down and explaining to them how he came from Minnesota to Amsterdam in a car that flew because they'd never seen a plane, and then from Amsterdam he came to Delhi, and he would explain the whole thing to them. Now, of course, he teaches math to the primary school children. And then my older one, who's now 15, he and I both teach science, and I teach English and Hindi to the children there. And the oldest children there are now getting ready to do the equivalent of the GEDs. So we help them with preparation for the exam and all that. We've been doing this for 7 years now, and it's my children have learned as much and received much more than we even take there. I mean, there's absolutely no comparison. It's been such a rich experience for them. My older one also, with the service group in Minneapolis, in the school that he goes to with his friends, created a group of students and paired them up with each child in Minnesota, with a child in the Odessa school as pen pals. And so, we ferried letters back and forth between these new friends. And it's quite interesting to see how the children respond to each other, on either side. Last summer, we had taken letters as usual, and the children are waiting for the letters when they come there. And usually, it's, the letters will say things like, how are you? And I went skiing over the winter, and I went fishing over the summer, and with my grandparents in the cabin up north in Minnesota, whatever. And the children from there talk about, oh, my favorite sport is soccer, and my bhaiya is teaching me, math, Partha bhaiya is teaching me math, which is my son Partha, or whatever. So the letters are exchanged, but one of the boys opened the letter and was just crying. And I said, what happened? And he said, Bhuvana Didi, Ethan has written, and then he wants to know what I want. And I don't want anything, I just want to see him. And, so Ethan had basically written, I do this, I do that. These are my favorite colors, blue, whatever. What else do you want? What he meant was, what else do you want to know? And so it was interpreted as, what do you want? I don't want anything from Ethan, I just want to see him. So that was a very touching moment. There was another child in Minnesota who lost her mother to breast cancer. And so she had written saying, sorry, I didn't write to you for the last several months, but I lost my mother to cancer. And so there is this girl, Bhavana, in in Orissa, India, crying and feeling for this girl here, who lost her. So it's this very special connection that is formed, and that I hope will continue. The kids are now in high school. My son is 15, so his friends are all 15, 16. They're looking to see if they can go and visit the school. So, hopefully at some point it will happen. So it's these kinds of special moments that, so my children get as much out of it as, regular American kids that they are, by going there as much as, the children there.
There are a few schools that send their children regularly there
To
just
Kechla.
for learning.
Even mothers send.
Mothers International School, class 11, everybody has to go there to spend 10 days teaching. It is part of the curriculum which the government wants, that social work should be a part of the senior this thing. So our children don't do it in Delhi. They go there and spend 10 days teaching one-to-one. And then we have a school in Hyderabad run by Dr. Ananda Reddy, also a devotee. They send their children also in class 11, and another school from somewhere else. So there are a few, these older children, they come and teach, and sometimes they're very good teachers.
So
And
continue.
these children are very affectionate, very affectionate. If you're teaching them, they just shower their love on you. And there is no distraction, they're eager to learn. There are no phones, no TVs, no radios, nothing they have. So they're dying to learn something or the other. Whereas in the cities, the children don't want to learn these days. They're so distracted with...
But having said that, they don't have any distractions. Yes, they do learn very beautifully. Their attention spans are amazing. And from speaking their own native language to speaking correct English, to also regaling you with the Sanskrit shlokas. They can do a havan for 2 hours and they will not repeat one shloka from the other. So I think there's a lot of equanimity in those children because they're ready to receive, but they're also giving a lot of love. That's what I heard Bhuvana also saying. So there's a lot that these children, that we have learnt in our cycle of education. And from these experiences, at Madhuban, we decided not to open our own school, but to adopt the village schools. So initially we did adopt 5 village schools. We are working very extensively with 3 village schools at the moment. There are 2 primary schools and 1 secondary school. And we realized that if we have to work from being outside and put in the values that we have learnt, we first have to learn from them. So it took us some time first to understand their curriculum, their understanding of things, because that was really important and critical for us. And once having done that, understanding their mainstream, with the emphasis we realized was only on literacy. And in that, there was a harshness coming from the teacher community towards the children. And that is some norm that we realized had to be broken. So the first thing we started doing was teacher empowerment. And taking them from that transition with the first principle of Sri Aurobindo, that nothing can be taught. So how to move them? We worked very hard to make sure that they are not now teaching, but they're becoming facilitators. So a lot of work on self-growth, labs for understanding from where I am coming, were part of our initial years of work. And then we realized that the equipment and material is lacking in these places. So with the focus which the Delhi Ashram has on sports and physical education, so we built some play fields for these schools. We laid a lot of emphasis on physical education. So the children there are very strong. Each child may be walking 7 kilometers down the hill to reach the school.
Every day.
Every day, twice a day for that matter. But we still felt that something about, the alignment between the mind-body was not happening. So we worked a lot on that. When I say we worked, we are still working. It is not that the miracle has happened. We are in a very nascent stage. We also brought in a lot of volunteers. And Madhuban actually has grown from what people have brought to it. Like I understood education. So I started working with education and attracting like-minded people. But musicians, artists, people from mindfulness, people from, you can say, the craft, doing craft by hand. All this today is an exposure for the children. But the moment we did this with the children, we had the complete parent community coming and telling me that Anju Didi, our children today are only going to school to play. They only do art, craft, music. What about writing? What about reading? And that again we were receiving because we realized that that is their need. They're first generation learners. So the only way we could do that is to emphasize on their reading and writing, but also take the parents in our fold. So today we have a livelihood program for the parents. So we have a knitting unit, we have a stitching unit where mothers come and we have our conversations on integral education with them. So, to ease the work, and it is there that we look forward to a lot of volunteers from different hues to come and help us. We also realize that the men there are drinking a lot. So this time we've also emphasized on herb farming. It's a very fertile area and it's an orchard area. They grow a lot of fruit. They didn't realize that in their backyard there's a lot of herbs growing. So though we have a spiritual retreat center, one of the dreams of the Delhi ashram led by Tara Didi has always been to turn it into a valley of flowers. So we have peaches, apricots.
These were always there.
They were there.
They were always
but
there.
The people
Flowers
took them,
we started.
Yeah, but they took them for granted. Actually, they started taking it for granted. So the flowers have come, but also herbs have started growing. So now we have farmers and the men who are working on, growing an oregano to a parsley to a thyme. At least they're understanding that. And there are business interests which are starting there for them. We're very grateful for Foundation for World Education, which continues helping us with that. We also have Singapore Management University, which 5 years back started as a mere project by my youngest daughter, like Bhuvana talks about. So I think it's communities which are building up. And now every year for 5 years, they come from Singapore in December and they actually teach the village youth how to do business, how to become an entrepreneur, because this is a business school they're coming from. So we have certain businesses like dairy farming, floriculture, herb farming, the stitching and the knitting, which have been set by them with a little seed capital. That money is never enough, but the ashram has completely supported all these projects. So maybe what Madhuban is a new center. I always say the way Aurobindo came, there's so much which is happening in Aurobindo, but there is so much which is also happening at the periphery outside. And maybe more people to come, to settle, to look after it. Maybe for a month, I put some forms outside, brochures for volunteers. The idea is, it seems as if our day is full, but we have a lot of kind people who come there, who help us with that. But our main emphasis is on what is the aim of life? Where do these children and these youth go? And these are the stories we are very, very hopeful of. That somebody with that simplicity of the village today, having touched the ashram, today those people are earning better. Their consciousness, their whole thinking is very different. And also from the village, a lot of people send their children to Delhi ashram for vocational training. So we have from each home at least 1 or 2 children who have gone to the Delhi ashram to become vocational trainers. So I think in all it's a full day. There's a lot of joy that we receive, because having moved there, I think I have received much more than I could have ever given. And then there are many other people. Subhash Bhaiya, who's the gardener there, Lalu Bhaiya. There's a mason who now knows how to do the symbols well. So I think there's a deeper connect and consciousness, but most of you are welcome to help in the manner that you think.
We need you.
So it's a Delhi Ashram is the only branch set up by Mother, and we have the advantage in all our areas of being a community within a residential space. I think that's been our biggest advantage, that we have residential spaces in all our 4 centers, and that helps in bringing in new communities and people to work. But it's little done. There's the undone past. And slowly and gradually.
If you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, you can ask.
So you asked for volunteers, and one of you mentioned that you teach based on, what we're here about the mother. But if I don't know that much, but I'd like to volunteer,
No problem.
Most welcome.
that's,
You have to be a good person.
Sometimes the cliched statements don't matter. It is the good person with the good intent, and you just come. The only condition I would say is, in your offering, there should also be joy in both giving and receiving. I think that can only be the precondition. It seems very easy what we are saying, but it is a sadhana. It is dealing with it on a daily basis. But most welcome to explore.
See, India is still backward from America. Living conditions, it's not always easy. And then it's another culture, another kind of people with whom. So the Westerners coming there, unless they have the same philosophy, like people from the ashram who know Mother and Sri Aurobindo, becomes a little easier. And so what you can do is just learn the basics, get to know what is the philosophy behind what they are doing. So, and there's always a first time.
Always first.
And we are not a religion, so that fear should not be there. We are not a religion, we are very open, and Sri Aurobindo has taken the best of all religions and harmonized them. And so we don't have any problems. We have Muslims in our community. In fact, this place, Madhuban, has been donated by a Muslim devotee.
So that's,
The first portion, then we bought some more, but it was Qurban Hussain, a Muslim devotee, who gave the land to the ashram, to us. So we are open to everything, and if people don't want to sit in front of Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's photos, they need not. We don't have any rules or rigidity in our community at all, not at all.
So, I'll say when I was there for the mountain climbing trip, we got there 2 days prior to the trip starting. The trip started on a bus that took us to Mussoorie. That's where we launched our trek from. But 2 days prior to that, when we got there, I remember somebody mentioned to the group that there's only one requirement that they ask from us, and that is that you participate in what they're doing. That's really all they asked of us, because there were people that were using the ashram as like a hotel almost.
Yes,
Just
because
stay in
it's
and then travel
cheap to
around,
live
see the
there.
day and then leave.
You can live there with 4 meals a day for $10, which is not possible in Delhi anywhere. Clean place, very clean, and clean food, and you won't fall sick. So this kind of thing to get for $10 is, so people started coming there as tourists. So we had to stop that. People should
All that is
come.
that you participate in the things that do,
Yeah.
whatever you choose to. There might be 20 things going on that day. You participate in 3 that you like. So,
oh, so you come to teach as a volunteer and you get to participate too?
there's events going on for you
And
as
if
well.
you're staying for a longer period of time, you can look into more conditions.
So people who can't afford to pay, they work the whole day and
They work the whole day. So
and
you can look at
they
this.
stay, and
But minimum 1 month.
the main thing is that one should be willing to integrate.
That quality.
If one is rigid within oneself, then there's no point in trying to go to another country.
Like there was I'm just going to tell a little story, but I specifically remember a guy from California named Lauren, and he was going to be part of the trip. And he came, first of all, he came to the front of the ashram, and the taxi dropped him off, and he came inside. He said, how much does it cost to get from the airport to the ashram? So like $75. And he said, okay, then the guy charged me the right amount, the taxi driver. And I said,
Trust.
yeah, how much did you spend? He said $75. I said, not $75, 75 rupees. So Lauren gave him $75, and the guy probably made his yearly money. And then what I noticed was, and Lauren was sleeping in late, not showing up at meetings when they're, scheduled. So he's taking some liberties with when things are scheduled, and so the group kind of just generally nudged him and encouraged him, knocked on his door, hey Lauren, come on, we're going out, and then we bring him in. So he started learning that being, like she's saying, integrate or participate in the events going on kind of become part of the flow and learn what it feels like to be in that flow. And that's the trick.
Just with an open heart and an open mind. And we also learn. Every time a volunteer comes, we have learned so much. It's not that only they are there. We also learn. And that is the space that has been created.
How much did he pay for the cab back to the?
But he's talking 40 years back. Now you
40 years ago.
now you from the airport you get
Right.
prepaid taxis.
Yeah, right.
So India is not only bullock carts anymore. Or the land of snake charmers.
You like Uber now.
Uber. So you have your Olas and Ubers. But there is always, like the other day I was buying something here, and because we come from London, I was trying to give her a pound. And that person is looking at me as if I'm all wonky. She was giving a pound instead of a dollar. I didn't know the difference.
Maybe I missed it. What are your main sources of income?
Donations.
Donations?
Yeah, donations.
Mainly donations. We are lucky that we have good people to support us.
No, and also we are all volunteers.
And they see, you see, most of these charities in India, most, I think everywhere, not only in India, 80% of the money doesn't reach the target. Because what they do, they get the charity money, it pays for the offices, electricity, water bills, for the payment of the
Staff.
salary of the staff and all these things. Whereas in our organization, we have no paid staff, not even one. So everybody, we have no car. Can you believe it? We are such a big organization. Such a big organization, we have no cars. The ashram doesn't own a car. People phone to say, can you send us the car to the airport to receive us? We don't have. So all of us use a taxi when necessary. And if the taxi has to be billed to the ashram, we bill it to the ashram. But that reduces, it's not misused. If there is a car, it will be misused no end. So all these things are, the electricity and all that is being paid by the ashram, office space is given by the ashram. We are all volunteers who are working. So the entire amount that people send us is used for the purpose for which it is given. It's not used for other things. Even when people are honest, other organizations, this is part of their need. Whereas in our organization, we have removed that need. It's not needed.
But we, all the people in the ashram are looked for very well. They're looked after very well. So it's like what Mother would have done, that their needs are taken care of. But there is no salary and things.
Those who
like
have been to Pondicherry should understand. It's very similar.
Very
And this is the only branch of the ashram, so we try to do what Mother was doing as far as possible. It's not always possible. What Pondicherry does, Delhi cannot do. What Delhi does, you can't do it in Boston or whatever. It's always like that. But that effort is there to follow the same principle.
And every donation which comes is linked to a project. It's not that we have a lot of money. No, we don't. But we have also learned to be very frugal in doing whatever we do. So it's very, very project based. For example, in Kechla, if you're getting a little money from Foundation for World Education, or we're getting from the donors for the children, it's for the children it may be just 33,000 rupees.
For the whole year.
For the whole year, but we spend much more than that. It's not because that's boarding, lodging, medical, travel, everything. So
33,000 is rupees, not dollars.
So how many dollars is that? 33 is
65,500.
About $500.
for a whole year, not for a whole month for a child.
60.
That's the donation we take for children.
For one child, for a whole
And
year.
people who donate that, they get a particular child and they pay for the child year after year, and we send them reports and everything about the child.
So we also live within the means. We are not, but everything gets linked to the projects that we are doing. And that is, I think, the biggest strength of the organization, that it's thinking forward for social work, which is meaningful. And in that we are spreading mother's work, because every project that we do, in that the integrity is always the way mother has looked at all of it. So that is our offering. And in essence, that is what we also receive, because these people become better and they're taken for jobs in all good organizations. The industry looks at our vocational trainees very, very strongly to give them meaningful employment. So when they go back home, they tell other children. So we are not keeping people with us. All our vocational trainees, after a few years, go and work. When I look at people in Pondicherry or I look at people in Aurobindo, a lot of people have come out of the Delhi ashram. So we always encourage them to go to other spaces. They don't need to just stick there with us, because we take the next batch then.
So those are your projects are very focused. They're very directed towards an issue that is a problem in an area or something like that.
So it's worked. We are still learning. We are still fumbling. We do have our own areas, but the intent, I think, is very, very simple. It is to encourage a human being to look at the next step for themselves, and that happens. That happens beautifully.
What was the name of your installation where it was the most poverty, where you had the hostel but not the
Kechla.
Kechla?
It's
Did
in
you have
Odisha.
volunteers there too, or is that?
We have volunteers. They come all the year round. We look for more.
We have ashramites working there, no?
But sometimes
They are not paid people. So you see, what happens is that when you send money for a child, the organization also calculates the teachers, the wardens who will look after the children, all that also is calculated into it. Not here. Here it's only the child. And it's not really full that we take. The ashram subsidizes everything.
So how does for lack of much knowledge about it, the schedule of an ashramite different from the schedule of a volunteer?
No difference. It depends on the volunteer. If the volunteer wants to come in the morning, every morning 1 hour is meant for Shramdan. Shramdan is work offering. And that can be anywhere. And the children go, the youth go, the young ashramites go. And they do whatever work is in. Somebody in the kitchen, sweeping, cleaning. We don't have too many paid workers also. So we do the cleaning in the morning in 1 hour. Gardening, everywhere. They may want to, if there is a construction going on, then at the construction site or whatever. So it depends on the volunteers. If they want to, if they don't turn up, we don't say anything.
See, for example, now in Madhuban, we are building 8 studio apartments for long-term people who come and stay there. And we just finished our vocational training in electricity. So 2 of the boys, so they will go there to learn more, actually from the foundation of doing a house there. But we also have some volunteers, like our architects are all volunteers.
They are not ashramites, they live outside. But they're devotees.
They're devotees.
Devotees of Mother and
Sri Aurobindo.
Aurobindo.
Volunteers at that level. So it's different levels. Some are residential volunteers, some are from outside.
So that's actually, I guess my question was, let's say she volunteers to go over there for 6 months.
Yeah.
She's a volunteer.
Yeah.
When does she become an ashramite?
The visa has to be taken care of.
I don't mean, the what?
Visa.
I'm not talking about the political technique. When would she be?
She is an ashramite the minute she steps into the ashram.
She's an ashramite.
Okay.
But it also depends on us understanding her and she understanding
Sure.
us. Because sometimes, in the human brain, something else is happening because it's a beautiful story.
Sure.
So that clarity of why I'm going there
Sure.
and that simplicity within always helps. Because we also understand you're coming from somewhere else.
Right.
So we are a larger home also.
Sure.
So we don't push, but we also need clarity.
level of commitment.
Yeah, it's a level of commitment is important.
See, there are people who come to India and want to volunteer. They come as volunteers, but then they are never there. They go sightseeing here, sightseeing there, so that kind of thing. So they can do that, but then they're not volunteers. Then they come and stay and do a little work for a few days and then go wherever they want. We don't stop them from going.
Right.
And initially it is always on a tourist visa that people should come. Then because when they come on a tourist visa, they can stay for 6 months. And they know and then if they want to come back, then they know why they are coming back.